Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks. Welcome to Tone Talks. What up, y'all? This Tone Talks in the building. I just wanted to come to you guys with a brief, kind of quick hit live show based on the new stuff that just came out with Mitch McConnell, senator out of, I believe, Kentucky. And he's the head of the Senate, and just craziness has come out the last few days. Me, myself, I'm an attorney in Los Angeles, but I'm also co-founder of American Descendants of Slavery, along with Yvette Cornell. Much of this discussion comes from ATOS. Without ATOS, Mitch McConnell wouldn't be talking about reparations, and he wouldn't be talking about his lineage. This is the reckoning that we intended on causing. We intended on bringing about a discussion that needed to happen generations ago, but just hasn't. And we here now. And so as this discussion happens, people are trying to jump in and jump out, and they don't really understand. We're doing it for reparations. We're not doing it for a feel-good moment. We're not doing it just to be talking about American history. We're doing it for Loudoun County, Alabama, where feces is in the backyard, and Mitch McConnell has little or nothing to say about all the feces in the backyard of black people's communities that built this country, ATOS people. And so I say this as I start the discussion, because one of the things that came out today after, several different statements over the course of a few weeks is that Mitch McConnell, as much of white America, has decided to use Obama as their cover. Obama, going back, told Ta-Nehisi Coates in his My President Was Black piece that he was against reparations. Fundamentally, Barack Obama is a black man, but he is not ATOS. He had no right to make a statement about reparations from a first-person standpoint. Raised by a white mama, inherited $500,000 from a white grandmother, and then on the other side, a Kenyan father that graduated from Harvard. I don't understand how we got here where we don't understand the difference. Well, I do understand. We flatten blackness. So everybody said we're divisive, but they don't understand that the only reason that we're having a discussion about lineage, reparations, and cure is because of us. So if I gotta be divisive so that black folks get a voice, I'll do that. I'll take that hit. You be Jelani Cobb. You be Joyanne Reed. Y'all be something else. I'm not here for basketball like LeBron James. I'm not here for singing like Beyonce. All of that is just a frame around the reality of black life in America. Let's talk. We know the numbers, but I think in a lot of ways we saw Kamala Harris go down to the Essence Festival. Nobody gets away with that at the ATOS conference. She goes down to the Essence Festival and she presents a housing plan that isn't for black folks, let alone ATOS folks, and says it's a black agenda item. Again, I don't have to guess. There's $107 trillion in household wealth. White folks have 90 trillion or more, about 92 trillion of the 107. Understand that in addition, black folks have maybe 3 trillion. 15% of the population built America, and we have like 3 trillion. With 2.25 of it in the top 10% of our families, largely black boomers. Bottom 75% of the race lives on next to no wealth. But Kamala told us that $100 billion housing plan that only will go to white gentrifiers will close the racial wealth gap, and black little girls wrote articles all across the web like it was true. Because they don't know. A lot of people are talking to me and talking at me and talking about ATOS, and they don't know enough. They're not educated enough. They don't have the right circles. They haven't interviewed enough people. See, I'm telling you now because when you read the Mitch McConnell article, several of the people in the article that NBC did on Mitch McConnell's slavery, I interviewed on my channel already. Chuck Collins is the son of Oscar Mayer. He came on my channel for a whole show. See, we've been doing politics for years. Other people, they've been playing and writing articles. Whatever the Post or the New Yorker or whoever tells them to write, the Atlantic. No, we haven't been doing that. Myself, Yvette Cornell, we haven't been doing that. Sandy Darity's been writing on reparations for years. Here we are, brought it to the national stage. Tell Mitch McConnell, hello. So I want to have a discussion because you can't have this discussion without going back a few weeks and remembering what Mitch McConnell said. He says, I don't think reparations for something that happened 150 years ago when none of us currently living are responsible is a good idea. That's June 18th that he says this. We've tried to deal with our original sin of slavery by fighting a civil war, by passing landmark civil rights legislation. We've elected an African American president. So he basically told us that Obama was our reparations. He started off saying that. He done came further today. We'll talk about that in a second. But at that point, he was able to hide behind that. We didn't know that his grandfathers owned 14 slaves. Let me give you a little context. We know that slavery lasted from 1619 until the end of the 1800s. We know that it was actually trailed into the 1900s through peonage and the like. What a lot of us don't know is how much a slave was worth. I tweeted this. A slave with 3 years of field training was worth more than a house. His grandfathers had 14 of those. Understand that what undergirds this man's career, this man's position, is that slavery. It is that social position that he got. But let's make it a little more personal. See, a lot of y'all might remember and know the pastor that I've had on my channel several times, Dr. Kevin Cosby. When you go to Dr. Kevin Cosby Twitter, he talks about how his family was enslaved in and around the same area that Mitch McConnell's family owned slaves. Let's talk. So while the Dr. Cosby family was being enslaved, Mitch McConnell's family was doing the enslavement. And we wonder why ATOS is important. Kamala and Obama's family wasn't, other than Obama's white side, wasn't here to experience this brunt force of black brutality. They weren't here in America. Whatever's going on somewhere else is somewhere else. Here in America, they weren't here. But we were here, our families. And this is the discussion that needs to happen at this moment, or your family may not survive. See, when I say may not survive, I put it in context of a singular thing that you need to understand. I just said this on Yvette's show last night. In 2012, we had around $74 trillion in household wealth. By 2015, Obama had pumped up the stock market with quantitative easing, where we were near 87 trillion. He had literally given the top part of white America a boom where we created a bunch of millionaires. A bunch of millionaires that you compete against if you want your kid to go to elite college. We went from 5 million, 4.5 million millionaires in 2012 to almost 10 or 11 million retirement white millionaires because Obama did quantitative easing. Well, today we're at 107 trillion. 107 trillion. So we literally boosted the whole value of household wealth in America by $25 trillion. And it's largely all went to the wealthiest whites. And when I say wealthiest, I'm talking about top 20%, top 25%. Dream hoarders. That's what they call them. People that take all the dreams and put them into like little safe boxes. And you want to tell us that it's a long time ago to deal with slavery and reparations. Again, this is Tone Talks. Please go to we in the chat having the discussion. My show normally is on Dash Radio Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Please use the super chat to support this in the discussion. We're nearing 1,000 people in the box. I want to have this discussion about Obama, about Mitch McConnell, about the things that we're seeing. If I see anything interesting pop up on the screen, I'll definitely try to jump in and give y'all that discussion. The reality of this moment is they're trying to tell us that it's in the past and they living on the wealth. Mitch McConnell and Obama. You think that Obama's grandmother just gave him $500,000? Nobody gives you just $500,000. This man was getting white gifts his whole life. I've read articles on it. I'm not guessing. From the house he lived in Hawaii, to the private school in Hawaii, to how you get from Hawaii to LA to go to school. Come on, let's talk. To being in Chicago and calling your white grandma and she can send you $100 when everybody else, it takes them 2 weeks to make $100. Let's talk. This is what goes on when you mix in a bunch of stuff and you don't have no talks. ATOS brings about the talks. Again, without ATOS, Mitch McConnell would never have been pressured to have this discussion, to make this point. We would not be talking about reparations. We'd be talking about the border. We're not talking about the border no more. Tell the Dems. Tell the Dems we're not talking about the border no more. I want to talk about Loudoun County. I want to talk about Skid Row, where 60-70% of the people are black. It's the largest homeless aggregated community in America in Los Angeles. I want to talk about the rate of lack of homeownership in San Francisco. I want to talk about black folks. But I don't have to want to no more. I done made it happen. We done made it happen. ATOS conference, October 4th and 5th. Marianne Williamson did this little message where she said the Essence Festival didn't invite her. Look, she been on my show. It took a white woman to bring reparations to the debate stage. We got a black woman on the stage. That's what, she's a black woman, Kamala, but she ran away from reparations. We had somebody from ATOS actually try to interview her. This is a man who has interviewed Pete Buttigieg, Whip Clyburn, Tulsi Gabbard. I believe he even did Elizabeth Warren. And in a sense, she knew who he was. As soon as she saw who he was, she ran from the question. In person. You can go to my Twitter and find it. This is a direct invite to Kamala Harris, to Cory Booker, to Joe Biden, to Elizabeth Warren, to Pete Buttigieg. We gonna have black voters online, streaming, and also in person, sold out, 1,500 people. Please come down and let us know your black agenda if you want the black vote. If you don't come down, you might not get the black vote. Just telling you, I'm not guessing. The Washington Post did an article on us, tried to call us small, but we not small. We the biggest thing moving in black politics, and we're not playing. You got a choice here. You can either address it or ignore it. If you ignore it, take ownership when it actually cost you the election. I'm saying to you today that we as black voters that have voted Democratic for generations, many of us our entire adult life, are demanding a black agenda. Not anything milquetoast where you actually have a housing plan, where you set out $100 billion, which is really small for anybody that understands budget. And it's set out as though it's going to close. Again, I just gave y'all the numbers. White folks have 90 trillion. We have 3. White folks have 90 trillion. We have 3. We should have more like, 15. If you can't tell me how your little plan is going to close us from 3 trillion, I'm talking about ATOS right now, from 3 trillion to more like 15, then you ain't got no answer for the racial wealth gap. And the only thing that closes that gap is reparations. And when I say reparations, part in cash, part in programs, but a massive infusion of a New Deal-esque program targeted at American descendants of slavery. The thing is, it's hard because ain't nobody really, like most of these people they don't know enough to really have the conversation. They don't dime the dollar. They don't know enough about economics. They can't tell you the difference between closing the gap at the mean versus the median. I'm talking about the writers right now. They can talk a little bit about history, like busing and what Malcolm X's speech just said. No, I'm talking about today, hard values. What does it mean, the difference between closing the racial wealth gap at the mean versus the median, and why do you got to close it at the mean? I can't play with these people no more. ATOS is here. We ain't asking no more questions. They put out the Washington Post article. We had to deal with that. Let's get back to Mitch McConnell, though. Mitch McConnell, the article comes out, and it basically says that he descends from slave owners. I have it right here. So Senator Mitch McConnell's great-great-grandfathers owned 14 slaves, bringing reparations issue close to the home. The 2 great-grandfathers of James McConnell and Richard Daley owned a total of at least 14 slaves in Limestone County, Alabama, all but 2 of them female, according to the county schedules, slave schedules in 1850 and 1860. The NBC did this. My first question is why NBC didn't do it before. See, ATOS made NBC do this. Period. Black folks working with ATOS as a magnifying lens made NBC do this. But why we didn't know this before? It didn't seem like it took but a few weeks. Everybody says it's so hard, but it took a few weeks. He said what he said on the 18th. By the 30th, we know. By the 4th or 5th, we know, right? Everybody playing with us. So his grandfather's on 14 slaves, which was basically a small fortune. Chuck Collins in the article, man, that I mentioned earlier that I interviewed on my channel, says smaller farms and plantations still benefited enormously from the unpaid labor of enslaved people, which likely helped them build multi-generational wealth. Wealth that goes into multiple lifetimes. Now, the most horrible part is being avoided. These are mulatto slaves. These young women were described as mulattoes. So we don't know the relationship. We can only infer the relationship that Mitch McConnell grandfathers, great-great-grandfathers, we're not going back that far, had with the slaves? Were they using these slaves as receptacles, having sex with them so that they can have more slaves? See, nobody wants to tell us the truth. But what they do want to tell us is what Mitch McConnell said in response. Mitch McConnell in response to this basically said that Obama has the same position on reparations and also has slave owners in his background. Yvette Carnell's going to do a show tomorrow, flesh this out. We've been telling you this for years. They're going to use Obama like a cover. They're going to use Obama like they gave him reparations when they elected a president that did nothing for black folks but created a bunch of new white millionaires. They're going to use Obama like it's all over now while your family is under America. See, I want to read a little bit more about these slaves that Mitch McConnell's grandfathers owned. In the 1850 census, his great-great-grandfather, Richard Daley, owned 5 female slaves ranging in age from 2 to 22. 4 are classified as mulatto, a now offensive term for mixed-race people. Their ages range from 2 to 4 to 18 to 20. One 22-year-old slave was identified as black. None of them are named in the document. Little is known about the 4 female slaves listed in the 1860 census who were owned by another of McConnell's great-great-grandfathers, James McConnell. They are identified in the records only by their age, 1, 3, 4, and 25, and by their race, mulatto. Richard Daley in that same census owned 5 slaves, 3 females and 2 males. 2 of those females, aged 30 and 11, were again classified as mulatto according to the records. The other woman, who was 39, was listed as black. Both males, one who was either 10 or 12 and one who was 7, were listed as, again, mulattoes. How much sexual relation was going on between these owners and these young women? Nobody wants to deal with it. Everybody wants to act like this is so long ago. Nobody wants to deal with the fact that we got a Supreme Court justice stolen from us because of Mitch McConnell, and that we got a Supreme Court that basically is so conservative because of Mitch McConnell that seeds all the way back to this ownership of slaves. But we're supposed to forget about it, like Mitch McConnell said. Now, it's not just Mitch McConnell. I've brought this up in the last few videos because it's so relevant. We got a document, an article coming out from the Hill that says that the Democratic senators want the reparations discussion to go away. In it, you have Senator Feinstein from the liberal state of California saying that it was just a long time ago. We don't need to rehash that. Well, it sounds like today we found out that Mitch McConnell's background makes us need to rehash that, because we have to question, why is this man a senator? What does he stand for? Where does he come from? What does he represent? What created him? Who made his values? All of this is on display. See, this is the problem with ATOS. It's divisive because it divides the country based on the reality of its history. It divides fantasy from reality. That's what ATOS does. No more of the games. Y'all can keep on thinking that Kamala finna get the black vote. She's not. Y'all can go by polls if you want. She's not. I'm telling you right now, that's over. Her background as a lifelong hard-nosed prosecutor destroying black lives with truancy laws and the like has already put her in a bad position. In addition, everything she's shown is wrong. She don't understand the numbers, and she plays games with the black agenda. She's avoided reparations. She said that she's not going to do nothing for black people, while at the same time doing specific actions that impact Indian immigrants with green cards. Y'all don't know about that, right? Last week. Look it up. While doing all kind of things that say that she's going to target DACA first. She said she's going to use DACA first if elected. I'm saying all this to say that what we bringing about hasn't been seen since the Civil Rights Movement. The reparations discussion we bringing about hasn't been seen since Reconstruction. I don't care what NCOBRA says. I don't care what a black professor at any of these universities says. This discussion would never have been had if ATOS didn't come around and black folks didn't start waking up. Y'all keep using Twitter. Be respectful. Keep using Twitter. Put the pressure on people. Let them know when you're frustrated. Because it's not about using this to follow celebrities or to follow whether Kanye West is a billionaire. That man could go take them shoes and wear all the shoes at once. We here talking about a black agenda and a black population that lives under America. See, in the article, there's a historian. I don't know how this historian feel like he can speak for us, but he should have came through me first. He said no one is seeking, talking about the Mitch McConnell findings, no one is seeking to judge anyone's ancestry, said Seth Rockman. Said Seth Rockman, a history professor at Brown University. The whole conversation is about American economic systems as a whole and the degree to which the debasement of African descended people created the structures through which other Americans were able to prosper. We're here to judge. We're here to judge and make claims. Make reparation claims about what's owed, the debt that's owed by the government and private actors. Y'all better understand that ATOS is here. I'm saying to you that when we look at this statement today by McConnell, McConnell likens himself to Obama. We both are the descendants of slave owners. So that's what the man said in response. He went to sleep. He didn't say it instantly. He went to sleep last night and thought about what he was going to respond with, because it came out recently, like last few days, that his family owned 14 slaves. Y'all can believe that he didn't know it. Y'all can believe that he wasn't sitting on that information, that his family, whom he knows directly, whom he has relationships, didn't know that they own slaves. But I'm saying to you that he said, I find myself once again in the same position as President Obama. We both oppose reparations and we both are descendants of slave owners. This is the con. This is the problem. Yvette Carnell told y'all, she told y'all that Obama was going to be your reparations. And here we are. It's ever evident. We not having it as ATOS. Y'all can keep playing the game. Y'all can think and say, oh, this is wrong. This is not about wrong. This is about how it was set up. All of these Negro whisperers on television set it up that way. Demanded nothing of Obama. Being mad at Cornell and Tavis for saying that we need a black agenda. Well, we going to get that boost so that all the black people get ready. We not just letting the Essence Festival decide, or what is it, whatever, Al Sharpton's little group, let people get up for 5 minutes and just talk. No, you got to tell us what your plan is and get critiqued. Open air. That's what we doing. I'm saying to you today that what you see on display is as a result of your actions. I commend every black person out there from the ages of, I've heard people calling that are 15 all the way to the ages of 80. And I'm saying for all of y'all have done work that we have not seen in generations. Let's keep the push going. Because ATOS can trigger a new era, a new enlightenment in the way that black people are seen in the political sphere. I just wanted to come to you today with a brief one. This is Tone Talks. Please go to tonetalks.org to subscribe or donate. Share this video. We got 1,400 in the box midday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Use the super chat. Support Yvette Carnell tomorrow, because she's going to get into this in an hour, in 2 hours, and it's going to be fire. Also, guess what? I got Killer Mike coming on July 19th to Dash Radio. He'll be in studio. We'll talk about politics, his support of Bernie Sanders. We'll talk about our differences in how we view capitalism. It'll be a fire discussion. Look, I liked him when I met him in Birmingham, and I appreciate his support at the ATOS Angela Project event that we did have. Killer Mike in studio, 719. We out.